by L'Auberge Casino, the place to go to watch NCAA basketball. This weekend, go to L'Auberge inside the Stadium Sports Bar and Grill. Watch all the games on all the big screens, and you can walk over to the sports book and place a wager as well right there next to the Stadium Sports Bar. Tommy joining us from Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. TK, a lot going on in the world of sports here locally. It never slows down. LSU basketball hires a new coach, Matt McMahon. They had the press conferences all since we were on the air Wednesday morning. Some reaction to that. Also, Murray and Pinson, two of the better players for LSU, enter the transfer portal. Not a shocker, not really a big surprise because, look, that would have, who knows if that would have even happened during a regular year. But I'm sure McMahon will have a chance to recruit him back if he wants. They're going to explore their options, et cetera, et cetera. This is the new norm. Also, the NCAA tournament, shocker, last night, Gonzaga goes down. There were a lot of people's pick to win it all in their bracket. A team that was expected to win it all last year, got the championship, lost. And then they're expected to kind of do that today. But Arkansas out of the SEC played one of its best games of the year, and they knock off they were a 9.5-point dog, and they knock off Gonzaga. That's TK's pick on his bracket. We'll get his new adjusted bracket pick, and he'll have a prediction tonight for you. Also, LSU baseball, Blake Money back in his normal spot on Friday nights as LSU starter. Remember, he took himself out of the game 2 weeks ago in the fifth inning. Started last Saturday. It wasn't a good one, and now he's back this Friday tonight at Florida. And LSU, I mean, I don't know. Is it too soon to say backs against the wall? Let's just say they're playing bad right now. They need something positive. Maybe going on the road will jumpstart that. Interesting subplot and storyline. We all know that O'Sullivan, the head coach at Florida, wanted the LSU job, lobbied for the LSU job, did not get the LSU job. So a little interesting deal there. Let's bring in Tommy Freeze over at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood today. What's going on at Tremonti's? I know y'all have a big event coming up.
We got a big event coming up next Thursday night, a little whiskey night. Contact me if you want more information. But today, fried catfish topped with the crawfish etouffee. They got all the seafood if you're doing the Lent thing. They got salmon, tuna, fish, shrimp, crab meat. They got it all here. Tremonti's Meat and Seafood, Jefferson Highway. Check it out or follow them on Facebook and Instagram. Also have some new imported cheeses. If you like cheese, they got all these new imported cheeses here too to go along with all the whiskey and the wine. And I think Mark Few should come in here and get some wine because he did some whining after the game last night. He is getting blistered on social media, whining and crying. And I mean,
I didn't see the post game. I saw his face. He looked like, I mean, you talk about a face of a coach who was completely in shock his team lost. I mean, he looked like he was going to cry. You don't see that very often. I mean, he was somber. He took forever to get off the court. Like, I was really surprised at his reaction. What did he say post game? I didn't see that part.
Oh, so we were number one all year. Everybody else was losing, and he just. I mean, and then of course his record, in the Sweet 16s, like 0-6, other than last year when he got to the finals. And they're kind of talking about he's got more wins in the tournament than any active coach who does not have a title.
Right.
So they started to say he's got to toughen up his schedule. He's an easy target today. Hey, Arkansas played great defense, and Dan Patrick said it this morning on his show. Every 50-50 ball on the floor or in the air, Arkansas got it, it seemed like. I mean, they just hustled for 40 minutes, almost like Nolan Richardson with 40 minutes of hell. They just didn't stop. And they just the interview with Musselman. Remember, he coached at LSU for a year under
right.
Johnny Jones. And he wanted the job. He left to go to Nevada. He wanted the job when they hired Will Wade. He wanted it badly. He didn't get it. And this guy said in the interview, he said, hey, look, we had a couple of days to get ready for this Gonzaga offense. And he said, we got a good plan. And one of the reasons I went with Arkansas at 9.5. Because right now, Ronnie, when we get into this March Madness and into this Sweet 16 and all, it's about defenses and coaching. Because, these players, we got 6-year players, we got pandemic. We've had a lot of fractured stuff in the last couple of years. But it's coaching and defense right now. Arkansas plays defense. They advanced. Houston plays a smothering defense. They advanced. They took down a 1-seed Arizona. 2 1-seeds lose last night. March Extra Madness at its best.
It's been absolutely crazy, no doubt about it. Yesterday I followed Megan making money, and of course, if Barstool folks and Louisiana social media folks, Megan's from Lafayette, and it's amazing how good she is at particular, and just in all sports. I think her best is football, but basketball, she went 2 for 3, 2-1. Her only loss last night wasn't the Gonzaga game. She didn't bet on that one. It was the Duke game. She had Texas Tech winning that one. So I just kind of followed along on her, and I'm doing the same again today. But I'm interested in the Duke story, Tommy. I love storylines. I like Coach K. I see a lot of Skip Bertman in Coach K. He was, you forget the Duke side. I mean, USA Basketball, the guy was a giant part of USA Basketball throughout his career as a coach and an assistant. He was an assistant on the Dream Team back in the day, even. So I'm loving he's going out in style. And at this point, for his team to make the Elite Eight as a second seed, that's about what they were expected to do. When you're a 2 seed, you're saying you're one of the top 8 teams in the country, and they actually proved that. And, they lost the last home game to North Carolina in Cameron Indoor Stadium, the last game ever to be played in that building. So that was a disappointing moment. They got thumped in that one. But since then, they bounced back, particularly over the last, and since the tournament, those young players have grown up. So I like that storyline. I'm pulling for Duke to make it to the Final Four. No question about that. As far as anybody else, I'm kind of rooting for them. SEC, right? I mean, if Arkansas is going to do what it's going to do, I guess I can't lose there when Duke and Arkansas play. Either one wins, I'm going to be somewhat happy. I know that's not a popular opinion, TK. I mean, if you're an LSU guy, you should root for everybody else to lose for recruiting. I don't know. Maybe LSU maybe Alabama football or Texas A&M football, but I don't know. In the other sports, I don't know how I feel about that. What's the other, the St. Peter storyline is very interesting for me, right? I mean, can they keep it going? They're the third team ever to make it to this point. Can they make it even further? Their coach Holloway, an interesting story about him. He was a superstar recruit, coming out of New Jersey, and, turned down Duke and Kansas and others to go to Seton Hall. And here he is, years later, leading his team into a long run. It's an awesome story, the story of St. Peter's. And he won't be long for that job, Tommy, for sure.
He made a lot of money last weekend, whether St. Peter's gives it to him or somebody else gives it to him. Yeah, and look, like Purdue, Purdue was very good in the Big Ten, which played, a solid year in their conference. And that's an intriguing matchup tonight. 12.5 points, longest, highest point spread on the board. 12.5 St. Peter's. They don't even have a money line on St. Peter's. So I didn't see one about 20 minutes ago. Going to be curious to see how that may play out. But, last night was a lot of fun. 2 number ones going down. We'll see what happens tonight. And then you got, the Elite Eight, a couple of games Saturday, a couple of games Sunday. College basketball fans, you got it. And keep in mind, the next weekend in New Orleans, the Final Four in the Superdome.
The Final Four in the Superdome. And how about this cool event, Tommy? The Final Four championship game is on Monday, April the 4th. That same night that the championship game is going to be going on, the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, we have an event in Shreveport at Bally's Casino at the old it just became a Bally's. It was the El Dorado. And they have a nightclub in there right by the front desk, and we're taking it over and doing an event. It's part of our golf tournament the next day, April 5th, that we have at Squire Creek. But on the 4th, we're having our pairings party, viewing party. We're going to have all the national championship, the game's going to be on all the big screens, and they got a big giant drop-down screen on the stage. We got a $25,000 putting contest, open bar, and food and drink and everything, auction items and all that galore. Lots of celebrities from Will Clark to Todd Walker to Josh Booty to, you name it. Paul Maneri going to be there. Dalton Hilliard's coming up, all that kind of stuff. And the cool thing is Tim Brando and John Brady are going to be there, and they're hosting they're going to do like a little talk before the game and break down the national championship game and give their predictions. And then at halftime, they'll go back on stage and do the same thing. So, I mean, that is going to be really, really cool. I don't have any interest in going to the Final Four if LSU's not in it. even if it's in New Orleans. A big giant arena, far away from the court, not my cup of tea, but I'm looking forward to watching it at this Hall of Fame event. And of course, if you're interested in that, you can go to lasportshall.com, lasportshall.com, or like Tommy says, just DM me and I'll give you the details of that event and the golf tournament the next day at the #1 course in the state, Squire Creek. Have you played Squire before, Tommy, ever?
I have not. I've heard a lot of things about it. I know of more than a few people that have, and whenever I get my knees fixed, that's got to be on the list. I got to get up
Kyle
there.
Williams lives there in the neighborhood. Andrew Whitworth used to live there, and all that kind of stuff. But it's unlike any course in Louisiana because it's actually got a little elevation change and some things like that. It's maybe not quite as dramatic as the Bluffs used to be when that was open. They have some holes that have some big giant elevation changes, but it's pretty cool. There's a lot of elevation change which we don't get in Louisiana, and it's a Fazio course and it's literally phenomenal. So go to lasportshall.com. All right, let's talk LSU basketball, TK. Big week for the Hoopsters. Matt McMahon, the Murray coach, gets the job. We knew that the other day. But you saw his press conference. You heard him. He's been in town a couple days. He was at the baseball game on Wednesday night at Louisiana Tech. He had crawfish with he and his family and everybody, even though he's vegan. He's not vegan. His wife and kids are vegan. So he'll eat the meat and food that comes from parents, but not his wife and kids. Good luck in Baton Rouge with that. But give me your takeaway on him, the hire, what you've seen and heard so far.
Well, he's hit the ground running as you would expect. He's met with the players. I'm sure he's sorting through, who's going to be on his staff. Will he bring anybody from Murray State? Might Tasman Mitchell or somebody else hang around? That's all remains to be seen. And kind of like with Brian Kelly, it's his staff. Let him pick it. Okay, it's not up to me or you or the fans or the media or anything like that. But I've read all the stuff. I'm impressed with him. I think he understands the situation. He knows what arena he's stepping into in terms of the NCAA sanctions that are going to be coming down. When, we don't know, but he's just going to put his head down and go to work. And then when they make an announcement, then he'll adjust and deal with it. So, Pinson and Murray both say they're going into the transfer portal. It doesn't mean they're gone. It means they're exploring other options. And I'm sure he's working through all of that stuff as to who he wants to come back or not come back with LSU. And it's going to be it's not going to be an overnight thing. I mean, it's going to take him a little while to get his fingerprint on it, especially with the looming sanctions. And I like the hire. His resume is very, very good. And we'll see how it goes.
A couple of quick little things. We mentioned Holloway earlier. Chance letting us know that Seton Hall, he was the point guard for them back 20-something years ago when they made it to the Sweet 16, the last Jersey team to do so until this year's St. Peter's team. So cool to do it as a player and a coach. Also, let's see. Hope McMahon can hold on to a few core players, O'Neal and Gaines. And listen, I think he will. I think you're going to be surprised at some of the players that they're able to hold on to. They may all go into the portal, but I think he's going to be able to re-recruit them, just like other teams are out there recruiting them. That's just a knee-jerk reaction. Season's over, you go into the portal, almost as if whether you're your coach stays or not, guys are going to go into the portal, and then some are going to take it out. The other is just it's human nature, Tommy, to be wooed and to be recruited. People love it. You get your ass kissed. You get to go eat some good meals. You get to be told how wonderful you are, even if you're not. And that's the game of recruiting. And you get addicted to it. These guys were all recruited for 4 years of high school and whatever sports they're playing in, and they get to college, and now they're the low man on the totem pole. And freshman year for anybody, whether it's a science student or a basketball player, is adjustment, and it's tough, and you're away from home, and it's just it's always difficult for a freshman. I mean, it's odd when it's not, and so then it's I don't like it here, and it's hard, and the coach is tough, and all that, and then so you want to go in the portal so that people kiss your ass and tell you how wonderful you are, and now not only do they get it's an ego boost, but they get to give you some money. Oh look here, mention this car dealership, they're going to talk to you on the side here and give you some money. So I mean, it's just it's all gross. It's all oogie. It's the new world. We just got to get used to it. Players are going to go in the portal when the season's over, left and right, and it really almost, to a certain extent, doesn't mean anything. You should almost expect it.
Well, Ronnie, I retweeted a story this morning. A defensive back at Florida State got mad at spring practice yesterday, and then he went and told the coaches he didn't like his NIL deal and he's going in the portal. I mean, like you said, it's the world that we live in right now. It's what we have to do, and coaches there's something else for the coach to have to deal with.
If they adjust the transfer portal window of entering, I think coach change should be an immediate window that is allowed. Absolutely. But at the same, I think there should be a window. But if you sign with a school or a team or whatever, and your coach leaves, then everybody is a free agent. What they've got to do is they've got to start holding coaches. Hey, you want me to give you that $2 million a year and change your life and and your kids' lives? Well, then you need to lock in. There needs to be more of a, hey, you leave, somebody's got to buy you out, or, you got to give shorter terms or something. There has to be something done to make sure people stay, and it's just not like 6-month contracts, which it seems like it is. Let's talk a little LSU baseball tonight. They take on Florida on the road. LSU is going to go with Blake Money. That's the only starter we know, because that's really the only starter they know. And some comments here on our thread here that we want to get into. Stephen Miller has a couple of baseball questions. One, also, do you guys expect any lineup shakeup tonight? Stephen, I don't know. Probably not much. The question is Milazzo. Is he healthy or not? If Milazzo's healthy, you got to start him behind the plate. The defense and throwing and the catching and the blocking of balls is just poor without him. And until he can't hit a 200, you got to leave him in there. I mean, it just is what it is. Let's see. Whenever y'all switch to baseball, I'd like to hear y'all's continue on Dugas at the bottom of the order. Okay, first off, Dugas is not playing well. He didn't have a good fall. And how much further up do you move him? I mean, who are you going to move down? I mean, the top of the order, right? Whether, and regardless of how you juggle it, it's got to have Doty and Cruz and Morgan and Berry. Okay, those four aren't going anywhere. You can shuffle them up and put them however you want. So do you put Dugas fifth? I mean, that's the question, right? Do you put Dugas fifth, or do you put someone else fifth? And I mean, what's the difference really between fifth and seventh? I mean, it's a difference, but not that big of a deal. But the bottom line is Dugas isn't making a case for himself. If he was in the 7 hole and, he was tearing it up and hitting 350 with 6 bombs, you can go, why is he hitting in the 7 hole? But he's not. And he didn't have a great fall, spring. And so it is what it is. I mean, at this point, they just, Dugas just got to try to get back to the lineup. Gio's been very good since he's gotten opportunities, and obviously he's a much better outfielder. And he's been good, and this lineup is just super deep. It's weird. It's awkward. I can't understand how a guy, Tommy, I've never seen this in the history of LSU baseball. I've never seen a guy lead the SEC in homers, lead the SEC in RBI in SEC games, hit over 300 like Dugas did last year, and then this year he don't look like the same person. I've never seen it. You see other guys go the other way, not be very good. Jonathan Zarang, not very good one year. Next year, SEC Player of the Year. But I've never seen a guy go from MVP candidate to like can't hardly get in the lineup anymore.
Yeah, well, he's pressing a little bit, and I like your point about when you say, why is he hitting 7th? Who are you going to move down? You got to look at both sides of that story, and he's not making a case to be moved up by any stretch, and he's going to might play himself right out of the lineup, much less hitting 7th. But, I've always been an advocate of you got to have a strong bottom of the lineup, however strong that might be. You want some speed down there, so when you go top side, you got some guys that can score the extra base hits when your key guys are coming up. I don't know if there'll be any lineup changes tonight. I don't think there'll be any batting order changes. There may be some other stuff going on, and Jay Johnson, I think, is very disappointed with the defense. They got more errors by far than anybody in the SEC. Florida took 2 out of 3 last week in Tuscaloosa. They beat Bethune-Cookman Tuesday night. So they can't wait for LSU to get to town, probably. So LSU's got to be the one to say, all right, here we are. Let's clean everything up. get a good outing from Blake Money. Hope we can get 5, 6, 7 innings in and save the pen a little bit for the weekend because you're going to need it Saturday and Sunday in Gainesville.
Yeah, no question about that. The big weekend for LSU baseball. I mean, you'll have a different, look, they are in a pickle, Tommy. I don't see it getting fixed anytime soon. The pitching is a disaster. I mean, a disaster. On Wednesday night, they walked 4 guys in the ninth with a 2-run lead. In the 12th inning, they walked 12. And we're not talking about midweek Ronnie Rance type stuff. We're talking about, we're talking about Reiseman, who is brought in to be a dude who throws 95 to 97, who's got this great arm, who supposedly was going to get fixed up by the LSU coaching staff. Because I remember when he signed last year, I immediately went to San Francisco's website and saw him and thought, wait, 35 innings pitched, 30 walks, 10 hit batters, like that just doesn't work. And okay, I guess they got some magic touch. He fixed it up in the Cape. All right, I'm going to go on faith. Well, you know what? No, he's the same guy. He might be a touch better, maybe at the end of the day, 35 innings and 25 walks. But I mean, he's the guy. He can lose it at any given time. He doesn't have any sort of other consistent pitch. He's trying to throw a fastball down the middle and let it run to a corner somewhere. So that's not going to work. And then we've got Floyd, who Ty Floyd went from starting at Minute Maid on Saturday as being the number 2 starter to now he's throwing midweek in relief. I mean, I know that and he can't throw a strike. He walks 3 guys, and all he throws is a fastball. It's so bad right now. It's so bad. It's so convoluted. I don't even know where they go from here. I mean, there are dudes. Helmer's is worse. Floyd's worse. Fontenot's the same. Money got much better. So I mean, Money getting better made up for 2 guys. I guess Hilliard's the same guy. Maybe he got worse. I mean, it's. Where's the better? Where's the hey? It's bad. All right, tell me about the length of these games, Tommy, because I mean, it's horrible right now.
It really is, Ronnie. It's tough to watch, kind of like LSU basketball on offense this past year. Tough to watch. The last couple of years of Les Miles when he coached at LSU to football, it was just tough to watch, as a fan, and They got to get somebody with some enthusiasm. They need a Blair Barbier to grab somebody by the neck and say, all right, come on, let's get fired up, or whatever Blair's speech was. I can't repeat it on the air here, but it needs somebody to become a leader for this team. I don't care who it is, if it's a bench guy, a guy that's been, in and out of the lineup, or a regular guy. Somebody's got to fire it up and just say, hey, man, we're playing for LSU. We're in the SEC. This is not LSU baseball. I mean, they need one of those speeches, and maybe they'll get it tonight. And it's just tough to watch this LSU, the long games. I mean, and here's the thing, Ronnie, on the pitching. And I was watching a spring training game yesterday, and a pitcher for the Angels walked somebody on 4 straight pitches. And I'm sure you did that. I'm sure I did that. But you should never walk somebody in 4 straight pitches. I mean, it's got to happen once a month, not once an outing. 4 straight times you can't find the strike zone. And LSU pitching, I don't know if it's mental or if they're trying to, they think they got a lot of arms and they're trying to get them all in. The heck with that. Get 5 or 6 guys that you can count on. It's like Blair Barbier said on Holder Radio last Sunday. When he was playing at LSU, he knew who was coming into the game from the bullpen first. He knew who was going to close the game. You guys did that in the early 90s. You knew Rick Green was going to close the game. You knew who was coming in. LSU is not at that point. Now, can they get there? Like Skip Bertman always said about tax day, April 15th. Well, guess what? That's a little over 2 weeks away. So, man, it's just something's got to happen and kind of push this team in the other direction. Because, hey, if they lose 2 out of 3 or they lose all 3 down in Gainesville, or you talk about some antsy people.
I'm shocked at how bad it is right now. And no, by the way, you didn't even mention that it's pretty much 2.5 errors a game. It seems like every time I look up, it's 2 errors, and it should be more. They've gotten some favorable calls. I mean, Barry had at least 2 errors in the outfield that were ruled hits that I can remember right off the top of my head. I'm sure there's more, but there's nothing good right now other than the fact that there are big leaguers on this team offensively. They've got major leaguers on this team, but there is a missing ingredient. It is obvious to anybody who's ever watched LSU baseball over the last 30, 40 years. It's not the same charisma. There's not one player that is a true leader. Like, hey, everybody right here. Bregman used to be the guy that would be the first guy on the field. He'd sprint 100 miles an hour out to the dugout, to the shortstop position. I mean, there's no any. It's everybody. It's pro ball. It's, hey, I got my 2 hits. I'm disappointed, but I got my 2 hits. Now I can go talk to my parents about the draft and, hey, did you see an agent? How many scouts were there? What's going on? Like, there's too much. What's my NIL looking like? It's a tough day and age to be a coach in any sport. That's for sure.
I think you hit the nail on the head. They're missing an ingredient, or maybe more than one ingredient of what it takes to be LSU baseball. Like you said, we've all seen it. You played it. We've seen it for 35 years or so since Skip Bertman arrived in '84. So and they did. They won an SEC title in the '70s. I get all that, but this is just something's missing. Like they don't have the whole formula in place now. It's up to Jay Johnson and the staff to get that in place. But I'll say this, Ryan, it's also up to the players. I mean, you're a college baseball player. You got to be able to look in the mirror and say, okay, I got to be better. I got to make my teammates better. I got to wake some people up. I mean, it's just the way I see it, and we haven't seen that yet. And, there's still some time to perhaps see that. So we'll just have to wait and see if it does unfold.
The other thing, the last thing about LSU baseball is, I lost my train of thought there on what I was going to say on it. There just seems to be, I know what I wanted to say, and that is like, and Paul Mainieri did this a lot, and I didn't like it. And that is, let's go with the underplay approach one year. How about this? How about say, well, I don't know how good we're going to be this year. We got a lot of good pieces, but we've got a lot of question marks, and we're working through it. We always get the oversell, like you're trying to sell me a house. And I think we got that this year. Like if Jay and LSU's baseball's message would have been, hey, we're first-year coaching staff. We got a lot of young players, new players. We're just trying to figure it out. We know we're going to be able to hit pretty good, but we got a lot of question marks, on the mound and that. But hey, we're gonna battle like tigers. Like, give me that. But instead, like, we're ranked preseason top 10, and boy, I really like our team. We're gonna be able to swing it. This guy's great. That guy. Look, the season tickets are sold. You don't need to sell me on the season. The season ticket, 9,500 every year. 9,500 season tickets, whether they come or not, they're sold. The suites are sold. There's a waiting list. Like we don't need to oversell. How about undersell? How about lower the expectations to the public? Now, inside, you can say, hey, hey, dudes, we're going to Omaha. We're going to the World Series. We're going to win it. You might hear me say some stuff, but you can do that. But, like, there's too many people that thought, like, we really were ranked a third best team in the country. And one of the polls, we ranked that. And it's like we're the third best team in the country, but yet we have no starters back from a year ago on the mound. I mean, Mikhail Hilliard, I know, half the season he was good last year. But there was your ranking is based on what you have coming back, how good they were a year ago, and what you have coming in. Offensively, yes, LSU is a top 10 team in the country. They deserve to be a top 10 team in the country based on offense. Defense has been a disaster. That came out of nowhere, but the pitching, we knew what it was going to be. We knew it was going to be rough, and it has been worse than rough. And so I just think maybe in the future, downplay just a little, downplay a little bit. All right, TK, we're going to be back on Monday for more Sports Shorts Daily. Tomorrow, Sports Shorts Radio from 10 to noon on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge is what's tomorrow? Tomorrow is LeBears. We'll be at LeBears inside the Stadium Sports Bar from 10 to noon. Going to have a little breakfast in the first hour, maybe a little lunch in the second hour. Also excited about great place to go watch the games, and we'll have some predictions for you. What's your Sports Shorts Daily pick for those gamblers on basketball today?
Take North Carolina plus 2 points. I hit a couple of winners on the radio in Monroe yesterday morning. So take Carolina plus 2 to get past the UCLA. And I'm actually a little fired up about the March Madness and the games tonight and the games on Saturday and Sunday. It's going to be interesting to see what it plays out. I mean, 2 number 1 seeds got beat last night. Gonzaga went down. Arizona went down. can St. Peter's keep the Cinderella story going? I mean, there's lots of stuff in play here.
Were you at the LSU game? Did you stay to the very end on Wednesday night?
I did not. I left fifth or sixth inning.
Okay. Did you watch the very end? Like,
No.
no. Okay. So you saw it. You went night, and then you read it the next day. Gotcha. Yeah, because Stephen Miller talking about the runner. LSU, by the way, was down a run in the ninth inning, had runners at first and third, with no outs, and didn't get a run. Yeah, but I think it might have been no outs. Let me look this up.
Okay.
Anyway, no outs, 1 out. I mean, okay, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I've had a lot of things going on in my head the last 36 hours, but 1 out. They didn't get the runner in. They went punch out. I think it was first and third. I think it was first and third, no outs, and then the Tech guy punched out the side. Just bad. Put the ball in play. Got to. Joe Bear took a 2-1 fastball, middle in, didn't even swing, and then of course he strikes out on a back foot slider. All right, we'll be back on Monday. Until then, have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for watching Sports Shorts Daily, and don't forget, go to brrugaroo.com. Get your season tickets now. Family 4-pack, only $100. Go to brrugaroo.com and help support college baseball this summer in Baton Rouge.